It is, I promise you. Oh, no, it was squeaky clean. So I'm thinking we left the sewer manhole and then the water from the ditch. And then after that, I don't know what else to do. If we start out this year.
Yeah. Gotta do something. Huh? 1 minute. 5 o'clock, Mr. Chairman.
This time messed me up. I thought it was 5 o'clock. I look at my watch and like this.
5 o'clock.
Let me get my composure together. It's been a while. All right, let's see what we got here. All right.
First motion is we open up, we'll take a 5-minute break.
Don't make me start before the meeting. Don't, Joe.
It's enough of that. Let's go.
All right, I'm good.
Okay, it being 5 p.m., the Lafourche Parish Council meeting of January 14, 2025 is hereby called to order. Ms. Carlene, can you please conduct roll call?
Yes, sir. Mr. Brumfield. Mr. Adams. Mr. Perk.
Here.
Mr. Melvin. Here. Mr. Pierce. Here. Mr. Araby. Here. Chairman Oten.
Here.
Mrs. Chasson. Here. Mr. Lorraine. Here. And President Chasson.
Thank you very much, Ms. Carlene. If everyone would please rise, we'll be led in invocation by Councilman Lorraine, followed by Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Brumfield.
Do the Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come,
Thy
will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. And start off by reminding everyone to please put your phones on silent and or turn them off. Additionally, I'd like to remind anyone wishing to address the council to please fill out a blue form, get it up to the council clerk. And as always, we will ask for public comments in addition to the open public comments. Also at the ordinances, we'll ask for public input. Anyone wanting to speak at an ordinance. That said, we'll jump right into the agenda. Item A, Chairman's comments. I just want to say thank you to everyone for a very successful 2024. Still trying to get out of the wake of Hurricane Ida. So still been very challenging, I know, for each and every one of y'all, especially as you represent your constituents. Also want to thank the administration for all their efforts in keeping us in unity as much as possibly can. With that said, brings us to item B, appointment of officers for 2025. Mr. Melvin.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to give Mr. Otan his gavel for his year of service again, and really enjoyed it. And I think you run a good meeting, and I'd like to see you again soon in the future. Let me give this to you. Here it is.
Clever.
Oh, wow.
This is heavy.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin.
Much appreciated.
Good, good, good. Much appreciated and well said, Mr. Melvin. Although, as y'all know, I like to hit the little piece of wood after every vote's taken, so I don't think that's going to work. But good deal. Thank you very much. Item B, appointment of officers for 2025. We'll do like we normally do, just so everyone knows. We'll open nominations for each of the 2 positions. We'll ask for the individual that's nominated to accept the nomination. And then once there are no further nominations, we'll move to a vote. What we will do this year, based on some conversations with the district attorney's office, is that we will ask for public input prior to any vote. Unlike all of our other voting that takes place after the public hearing, after public wishing to address the council, which covers us by open meetings laws, this particular vote is prior to that. So just something to keep in mind for the future, and maybe we put on the agenda in the future. Ms. Carlene, any item that is voted on prior to the public wishing to address the council, if there's a vote to be taken, then we go ahead and ask for public input.
Okay.
So we abide by open meetings laws.
Gotcha.
Everyone good? Anyone got any questions on that? All right, with that said, item B, appointment of office for 2025. Number one, nominations to select chairperson for the Lafourche Parish Council for the fiscal year 2025. I'll now accept nominations for chairperson. Mr. Hold on, Terry. Here we go. All right, Terry, you have the mic, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you also for a job well done, but if you're willing to take the nomination, I'd like to nominate you again this year.
Proudly accept for one more year, TA. Very much appreciated. Thank you. It's appreciated dearly. Sincerely, thank you, TA. And second by Councilman Perk. And I do accept the that nomination. Additional nominations for the position of chairperson. Additional nominations for the position of chairperson. Last call, nominations for chairperson. There being none, nominations are now closed. Still would like to bring it to a vote because I know some of y'all may still want to vote against it. So even though I'm the only person, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. T-Boo, nay. Thank y'all. Look, much appreciated. Really, I do proudly hold the gavel. It's not something I take lightly, and I do study open meetings laws as well as Robert's Rule of Order for those who don't realize it. So I do thank y'all sincerely. With that said, item 2, nominations to select a vice chair for Lafourche Parish Council for the fiscal year 2025. The nominations are now, and I'm sorry, I was supposed to ask for public comment. See, so you didn't remind me. Would anyone like to comment on the chairperson? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times? Would anyone from the public like to comment prior to nominations for vice chair? First call, second call, third call. Once again, it's not something we've customarily done, but we're going to start doing that as we go forward. With that said, nominations are now open. Ms. DeLynn, you have the floor first, ma'am.
Yeah, I want to nominate Mr. Mark Perk.
Mr. Mark Perk, second. Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Brumfield. Mr. Perk, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Mr. Perk does accept the nomination. Are there any further nominations for vice chair for the Lafourche Parish Council fiscal year 2025? Second call, any nominations for vice chair 2025? Last and final call, any nominations for vice chair for 2025? There be none. The nominations are now closed. We'll still bring it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Nay. Motion passes by a vote of 8-1. Congratulations, Mr. Perk.
Thank you.
You're welcome. No, we can wait. No, we good. Everybody's good. Yeah, we'll just roll with it like this. Yeah.
We're good.
All good. So, yeah, very good. Thank you, Ms. Corleen, for keeping on top of it. All right, let's see if we can get in the flow of things. Item C, approval of minutes. I'm not entertaining a motion to accept the minutes of the December 10th, 2024 regular session. So moved by Mr. Adams, seconded by Mr. Perk. And this is another one that I'm going to, we'll probably need to roll that below public wishing to address the council so we're covered maybe in the future. But was anyone from the public wish to comment on the minutes, the motion to accept the minutes? Second call public, third call public, no one from the public. Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes with 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item D, stating our legislative updates. We don't have anyone in the audience. Brings us to item C. We have none, Ms. Corleen. None. Brings us to item F, presentations and or updates, and we do have one. We have Ms. Becky Gotro with the LSU Accent to present a quarterly report. Ms. Becky, please just state your name and address for the record.
Turn it on. Becky's not on anymore. Press the button, babe. There you go.
We'll get in the flow here shortly.
Becky Gotro, 410 Lee Drive, Thibodaux. So typically we print you quarterly reports. We'll just email them out. For sugarcane, it was a really great harvest. We don't have the actual numbers yet, but even with the hurricane that came through, harvest was still wonderful. Camille Brady is now our agriculture. She's cattle and forage agent. She was originally or previously a 4-H agent and parish chair in Ascension Parish. So she's no stranger to the Ag Center. She's been here for about 12 years now. But she is now the cattle and forage agent for Lafourche, Terrebonne, and Assumption. So she'll rotate between all of them and then answer any questions from the cattlemen. And forage is like soybeans. We interviewed, and a candidate has been selected for the second 4-H position, so we're finally filling that since July. So that is all exciting news. In nutrition, we helped with Farm City Day, did some lunch and learns, came to you guys as parish government, health fairs as well as the sheriff's office and the city of Thibodaux. Demos at the Rouse's markets happen every month, and so it rotates what Rouse's I go to do a food demo. Still running the Live Healthy Thibodaux Market, which happens on Mondays in Thibodaux on the corner of Tiger Drive and Highway 1 from 3 to 5 p.m. Still super successful. And then I joined the Healthy Student Task Force at Nichols, and we already are making some healthy changes with things for the students, so that's great. For fisheries, the population estimates are projected to be higher than last year, and the prices better earlier for crawfish. And she's just monitoring the water quality in the short term for the juvenile crawfish that are coming up. For 4-H this past quarter, we had officer training, a 4-H livestock species coordinator meetings happening every month. Foundation meetings, robotics club, which is new this year, and the social club, which is like a sewing club. So all the members in 4-H can join these two special clubs and come to our office after hours once a month and do a project. For robotics, they made these little mini robots. Every month they make something different. And then for the social club, they were sewing up like pot holders and stuff. We also hosted a special needs trick-or-treat event that was publicized through the school system, and we had a small turnout, which was great for the special needs individuals, but they all voiced that it was very successful and they appreciated that we did that. We have our livestock show this coming weekend on the 18th. So if you wanted to come, we will be out with animals in the newborn, and it's going to be great. Any questions?
Very good. Any questions?
Anybody?
Thank you very much for that report.
Thank you.
Much appreciated. Do we have any other presentations and or updates? All right, brings us to item G, engineers and architect reports.
Good evening, Kevin Azarm with GIS Engineering. Update you on a couple of our active projects lists here. Oops, wrong way. Okay, so the Butch Hill Pump Station, we are wrapping up some last coordination with the administration in North Lafourche Levy District. I believe we're planning on advertising this for bids next month. Valentine Pontoon Bridge, we are still waiting to hear back from DOTD on this one, so no new update. Grand Bayou Freshwater Reintroduction, updated last month that we were coordinating with administration on reducing the cost impacts of that one. We're still trying to set up a meeting with them, so hopefully in the next coming weeks we can do that and finalize the path forward on that project. The waste collection facility, no new update there. All the trash underneath, we've been told not to excavate it from DEQ, so we're just kind of trying to figure out alternate options, but just kind of on hold on that one. Hurricane Ida pump station rehabilitation. So we did some work on the company canal. We got that project to where it could be potentially ready for bid in the next coming month or two, depending on funding availability, but that one is progressing along. The Ravenswood Pump Station, not much progress there. We were just initially doing some analysis for FEMA, but no real work on that one lately. The Eunice Alamon Pump Station, we did re-advertise that project for bids. If you recall, it was bid last year, but we ended up pulling the bid, waiting for the Hamilton Street Bridge project to be awarded. That project was awarded, so we are rebidding this project with the understanding that that bridge is going to facilitate the construction of this, or help facilitate construction of this project. So we're opening bids on the 28th of this month. We had a bid opening on the 8th. There was good turnout, so we're hopeful that everything's going to work out good. The Midway Drainage Report, we provided that report on the 20th of December last year. So our engineering team is just coordinating with Dylan on this one, providing our findings. And no update on Lockport Elevated Boardwalk. That's it. Any questions?
Any questions? There are none. Thank you, sir. Any additional engineers and/or architect reports? Okay, there being none, brings us to item H, public wishing to address the council, public hearings, and judgment items, et cetera. Ms. Carleen, we have none. Brings us to item I, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. I'll now entertain a motion to open public hearing. So moved by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Brumfield. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 4, Mr. Lorraine, we understand will be deferred to the 1/28/2025 meeting. Item 5, ordinance to install a Watch for Children sign midway on the street of 134 East 176th Street, Golden Mile, Louisiana, Ward 10, District 9, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, providing for the placement of a Watch for Children sign as stated above. Motion by Mr. Lorraine, second by?
Let somebody else do because that's in front of my house.
No problem. So will someone else sponsor? So Mr. Williams will sponsor ordinance at number 5. Clear on that, Ms. Carleen? Second by Mr. Perk. Would anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance at number 5? Second call, public input, ordinance at number 5. Last and final call. Anyone from the public wants to comment on ordinance at number 5? There be none. Anyone from the council wants to discuss? Mr. Lorraine will be abstaining. Mr. Chasson, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. New year, not new me. Once again, just going to raise my objections to doing this. First of all, the sign's already been installed. They were put up today. This could simply be done with a work order, gentlemen. And I know Mr. Lorraine is going to say that he wants it on the record and that he wants it documented. But every year we have a discussion when the Daily Comment article, the Daily Comment measure comes up, and everybody complains about how much it cost. It cost us $292 to go publish this thing. In the last 2 years, Mr. Lorraine's voted against the Daily Comment being the official journal. So we're wasting money when an email or a work order could have been done, and the sign's already up. So I don't know that we necessarily need the ordinance, but that's just my 2 cents, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Copy. Mr. Lorraine, you have the floor, sir.
You know why I voted against the comment? They never paid me back with the old man.
Yeah, I will reinforce what the parish president said in terms of signs, though, that the DPW has been very, very gracious in immediately installing signs such as this. I know from me in my district. With that said, though, any further discussion? That being done, we'll bring it to a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Item 6, or
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
8. Thank you for the correction, Ms. Carleen. 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention. That abstention being Mr. Lorraine. He did point it out. We good? Item 6, ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Health Hayden and Lafourche Parish government in the Thibodaux area and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Melvin for the administration, second by Mr. Williams. Would anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance at number 6? Second call, public input. Number 6, last and final call. Anyone from the public would like to comment on the ordinance at number 6? There being none, anyone from the council? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 7, ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Conrad D. Harlan and Wendy G. Harlan and Lafourche Parish government in the Thibodaux area, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Melvin for the administration, second by Mr. Williams. Would anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance at number 7? Second call, public input, the ordinance at number 7. Last and final call. Anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance number 7? Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 8, ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Percy J. Acosta Jr. and Lafourche Parish government in the Thibodaux area, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Melvin for the administration, second by Mr. Williams. Would anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance at number 8? Second call, public input on the ordinance at number 8. Last and final call. Anyone from the public likes to comment on the ordinance at number 8? Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 9, ordinance approving a servitude agreement between Jean B. Zarang, acting power of attorney for Ralph C. Zarang and Lafourche Parish government in the Thibodaux area, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Melvin for the administration, second by Mr. Williams. Anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance at number 9? Second call, public input, the ordinance at number 9. Last and final call. Anyone from the public wants to comment on the ordinance at number 9? Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 10, ordinance providing for a 2024 supplemental appropriation 24-011 within the 2024 operations and maintenance budget to lease vehicles for mechanics and DPW, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions excuse me, as provided for by Article 6 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Motion by Mr. Perk on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Williams. Anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance at number 10? Second call, public input on the ordinance at number 10. Third and final call. Anyone from the public like to comment on the ordinance at number 10? Anyone from the council? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 11, ordinance approving a variance from FEMA and Lafourche Parish government elevation requirements for a temporary Connex parts storage building located at 686 A.O. Rapollet Road, Golden Mile, Louisiana 70357, belonging to Louisiana Cat Port Fouchon facility, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Mr. Pierce. Would anyone from the public like to comment on the item at number 11? Second call, public input, ordinance at number 11. Last and final call. Anyone from the public like to comment on ordinance at number 11? So is it here or is it resolution? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so before we bring this to a vote, we have an amendment from the floor to item number 11 by Councilman Lorraine. Is that correct, Mr. Lorraine? Okay, so I'll read the amendment from the floor by Mr. Daniel Lorraine. This amendment is to correct the shipping container size from 80 foot by 80 foot to 8 foot by 40 foot in the first whereas. That's your amendment, sir? Second by Mr. Perk. Would anyone from the public like to comment on the amendment? Second call, public input on the amendment. Third and final call, anyone from the public like to comment on the amendment? Anyone from the council? Mr. Lorraine.
Yeah, I just want to ask that, did we get a letter of no objection from FEMA on this? I see we got Labat signed the letter. Seems to me we need to get an approval from FEMA before we do this. I'm not against doing it if they approve it. It's so screwed up out there, it's unbelievable. I've seen a house in Golden Meadow 15 feet high, and right behind it, one's 2 feet high. It doesn't make sense. Did we get a letter from FEMA with a letter of no objection on this?
Okay. So, Mr. President.
So there is no kind of letter of no objection process from FEMA. So in the FEMA technical bulletin, there's a section that talks about fundamentally dependent uses. So it's the same way Seaport's built so low because the boats have to come in and out, all that fun stuff. So no, we're following the FEMA technical bulletin that says you can issue a variance for a temporary structure for a fundamentally dependent use, and that's what we're doing.
I don't see anything wrong with putting the
Hold on, Daniel. Press your button. Let me recognize. That's okay. Let me recognize.
I don't see anything wrong
Okay.
with putting the container, but we have people with RVs that can't even put an RV next to their lot. Okay? So let's be fair to everybody. Show me a letter from FEMA and I'll support it. And there has been questionable things out there, but they always say if you don't follow the right elevation, you might lose your flood insurance. It would be nice to lose it. I just got my bill yesterday. But I mean, it's true. What's so hard about getting a letter from FEMA?
Understood.
I remember one time when I chaired the permit committee, FEMA came right there in front of the council and chewed us out, Bill,
I watched that
for a
episode.
long time.
So right now, though, we are speaking of the amendment. So the discussion is related to the amendment. You go with the amendment, though, 80 to 40, right, Mr. Lorraine?
Yes.
Okay, so this will just be the amendment.
But I want to add another amendment.
All right, let us finish with this one.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion on this amendment? There being none, we'll bring it to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Now we have another amendment from the floor. Mr. Lorraine?
Amendment until we get a letter from FEMA. If we get a letter from FEMA, all for it.
He needs it in writing, he needs to
Can,
present it
yeah,
here.
can you write something down real quick, Mr. Lorraine?
I got it written down.
All right.
Oh, good, I'm on the ball.
So I'll read the amendment from the floor, then we'll ask for public input. All right, thank you, Ms. Lorraine. So the amendment from the floor to number 11 is amend until we get the wording, until we get a letter from FEMA. Pending, is that pending this? Needed in writing, not verbal, letter of no objection from FEMA. That's your amendment? Yeah, I get a second for this additional amendment. Second? Anyone wishing a second? All right, Mr. Araby seconds, which allows us to then discuss this. So we have amendment and a second on the floor, but Mr. Araby, would anyone from the public like to comment on this additional amendment? Second call, anyone from the public wants to comment on this? Third and final call, anyone from the public wants to comment on this additional amendment? Okay, council, Mr. President, you have the floor first, sir.
I mean, again, Mr. Chairman, we're following the FEMA technical bulletin that says we could do this. I mean, if you guys want to hold up this person's permit and Cat Fouchon's facility, then I mean, by all means, vote for the amendment, and we'll wait 6, 8, 10 months before FEMA actually responds to something because they're FEMA, right? But again, we're following all the rules that we're supposed to be following right now. So I'd appreciate not supporting the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President. Any further discussion on this additional amendment? Just to be clear, we're voting on the additional wording, letter of no objection from FEMA. With that said, all in favor of this additional amendment signify by saying aye. All against this additional amendment say nay. Nay. Can nays raise your hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the motion fails by a vote of 3 yeas. Those yeas being Mr. Lorraine, Mr. Araby, and Mr. Melvin. And the nay, okay, got confused on that. So the motion fails by 2 yeas and 7 nays. The 2 nays are Mr. Lorraine and Mr. Araby. Good? All right, so now we'll go back to the original ordinance as amended to correct the sizing. Everybody clear on that? So now, would anyone from the public like to comment on the original ordinance as amended with the size dimensions? Anybody got questions? I'll explain it to you. Second call, public comment. Last and final call. Anyone from the public wants to comment on this ordinance as amended? Anyone from the council? Mr. Mark Perk.
I guess this is a question for administration. Did we read in there that if an impeding storm or something, they're going to move that out, correct? Right. And my other, as far as if we've got from the manual from FEMA saying that it's approved, we could probably just attach that sheet to this ordinance, and just if that kind of covers all the bases. So, thank you.
Yeah, my history of 3.5 years of dealing with FEMA is they'll never give you a letter of no objection to anything. No one will. So good luck with that. But anyway, with that said, we're finished with discussion, ready to bring this ordinance as amended to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Yes. Get out both of them. Thank you, Ms. Corleen. All right, with that said, I'm now entertaining a motion to close public hearing. So moved by Mr. Araby, second by Mr. Perk. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas and 0 nays. Item J, proposed ordinances. Mr. Perk, can you do us the honor, please?
Yes.
All right, you got it.
We've got one proposed ordinance, number 12, proposed ordinance amending ordinance number 6986 that adopted the 2025 operations and maintenance budget and capital budget for the Lafourche Parish Council, as well as setting the salaries of unclassified employees as provided for by Article 5 of the Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter, Councilperson Chasson for administration. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Perk. Brings us to item K, resolutions. Number 13, resolution approving agreement between Greater Lafourche Port Commission and Lafourche Parish Government for the Fouchon Beach Restoration and Resiliency Project, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Mr. Araby. Would anyone from the council like to discuss this item? Mr. Lorraine, you have the floor, sir.
Yes, on this go mess of money, that's money coming in from the offshore royalties? Do we get so much a year? Or it depends on what they drill or sell or whatever?
Okay, Mr. Lorraine, I'll zonk you out and recognize Mr. President. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So yeah, it's all dependent on the amount of lease sales that happen in the Gulf. That's what that money's based off of.
So,
go ahead, Mr. Lorraine.
So since the Port Commission is an entity, a government entity, they can't get that on their own, or the parish has to get it? I'm just asking.
Mr. President.
So by the GOMESA statutes, the federal government gets so much, the state of Louisiana gets so much, and the 20 coastal parishes each get an allotment. So only the parish governing authorities, which is us, gets that money. Yeah.
All right, Ms. Lorraine.
So what I'm saying is we get so much a year. I think, did we allot some money for the locks of the Lafourche locks in La Rose?
Is that the last question? You got any more questions before I recognize them again?
Yeah, well, that's. I'm just trying to figure out. Okay. We giving them $2 million, right? Do we have to spend that money for certain things, or it has to be allocated for just certain things?
All right, Mr. President. Go ahead.
So, Mr. Chairman, this $2 million comes out of the bond money when you guys bonded out the money at the end of President Cantrell's term in 2019. If you guys remember, we amended the GOMESA project list in probably mid-2020 when we took office, because we redid some of the projects. There were a couple of them that just didn't make sense, so we took those out. And this was one of the projects that was approved back then. Because of the hurricane and just everything else that we've all been dealing with, they're finally getting to the part of getting the additional money they needed from CPRA, and they're finally ready for our $2 million. So yeah, we get a certain amount of money every year, but this isn't coming out of that money. This is money from 6 years ago that we're paying for this with. So yes, we did allocate $5 million for the lock, probably in 2022-ish. I guess maybe into 2022, we called that money back, and we actually gave the levee district $15 million worth of hazard mitigation funding to build the lock, because the price skyrocketed due to the hurricane and inflation and all the other factors. So we actually gave them $10 million more than what we should have.
Thank you, Mr. President. Hold on, Daniel. Go ahead, Daniel.
We'll be able to do that. Listen, I'm not against giving the Port Commission some money, but the parish gives the port more than what the port gives the parish. I can tell you that. I can show you the projects all the years that I've been there. We've helped them out a lot, and they got more money than the parish. But I'm not against doing a project for them, because that's your bread and butter in the whole parish. I'm just concerned about it because I'll use that later.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Final, Mr. President?
Yeah, and if memory serving me correct, Mr. Chairman, so we're putting up 2 million. I think the Port Commission is putting up 4 or 5 million, and CPRA is putting up like 4 or 5 million as well. So it's going to be a substantial project. Yeah, it's a substantial amount of money.
Good, looking forward to that project. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 14, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and South Central Planning and Development Commission, SCPDC, for the fiscal year 2024 to 2025 membership dues, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Perk on behalf of the administration, second by Mr. Araby. Anyone from the public, anyone from the council wants to discuss item at 14? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 15, resolution reappointing one member on the Lafourche Parish Animal Shelter Advisory Board representing Council District 7. Mr. Perk, for administration, do you have Mr. Perk?
We had one vacancy, one reappointment, Ms. Leah Ogeron.
Can I get a second for Ms. Ogeron? Second by Ms. Chesson. And I do want to thank Ms. Ogeron for volunteering to continue serving on the Animal Shelter Advisory Board. Any discussion with this appointment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 16, resolution appointing one member on the Lafourche Parish Animal Shelter Advisory Board representing Council District 8. Ms. Chesson for the administration. Who do you have, Ms. Chesson?
We have one vacancy and one appointment, Ms. Heather Reynolds.
Now second? Second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 17, resolution reappointing one member on the Lafourche Parish Animal Shelter Advisory Board representing Council District 9. Mr. Lorraine for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah, he reapplied and nobody else applied for it, so Eric Benoit.
Mr. Benoit. Can I get a second for Mr. Benoit? Second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 18, resolution reappointing one member to Lafourche Parish Community Action Advisory Board, public official, Mr. Brumfield for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Brumfield? Press your button, DJ. There you go. Sorry.
One vacancy, one reappointment. Mayor Barry Plaisance.
Mayor Plaisance, can I get a second? Second by Mr. Williams. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 19, resolution appointing one member on the Fire Protection District Number 3 Board, Ms. Chesson for the administration. Who do you have, Ms. Chesson?
We have one vacancy and two applicants, but Aaron Montez is my choice.
Can I get a second from Mr. Montez? Second by Mr. Perk. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 20, resolution appointing one member on the Fire Protection District Number 8-C Board. Mr. Adams for the administration. Who do you have, Mr. Adams?
David Ockman.
Can I get a second? Second by Mr. Melvin. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 28, resolution approving change order number 1 for the project titled E.D. White Historic Site Launch Project, decreasing the contract price by $4,418.32 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Adams for the administration, second by Mr. Melvin. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 29, resolution approving change order number.
I think we skipped a page.
Oh, the page is stuck.
Skip the page. Stop.
The whole page.
21.
Yeah. All right. Here we go. So I'll entertain a motion to go back in the agenda items to item 21. So moved by Mr. Perk, second by Mr. Araby. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. The whole page was stuck. All right, here we go. Item 21, resolution approving a grant application for fiscal year 2024-2025 funding through the State of Louisiana Office of Community Development, Community Water Enrichment Fund for Lafourche Parish Water District Number 1, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Araby for the administration, second by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? Number 21. There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 22, resolution approving change order number 2 for the project titled New Galliano Health Unit, increasing the contract price by $20,946.48 and adding 6 days to the contract time and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Mr. Perk. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 23, resolution amending resolution number 23-131 that accepted the proposal of Hunt, Giat, and Associates, LLC for grant management services and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Ms. Chesson for the administration, second by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 24, resolution approving amendment number 1 to the agreement between Hunt, Giat, and Associates, LLC, and Lafourche Parish government, increasing the contract amount and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any and all relevant documents. Ms. Chesson for the administration, second by Mr. Perk. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 25, resolution approving an amendment to the agreement between Lafourche Parish government and Nationwide Retirement Plans to administer the 457 Deferred Compensation Plan and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any other relevant documents. Mr. Perk for the administration, second by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 26, resolution approving change order number 6 for the project titled New Rodeo Arena and miscellaneous repairs to the Raceland Ag Facility, increasing the contract price by $19,694.98 and adding 28 additional days to the contract time and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Araby for the administration, second by Mr. Perk. Any discussion? Mr. Araby, you have the floor, sir.
I just want to make a comment. I'm hoping this is the last one we do for this project, and giving some more additional days. I hope the next time I see one like this here, you're invited to a ribbon cutting so that we can crack this thing open. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Araby. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 27, resolution approving a district office lease amendment between Lafourche Parish government and Steve Scalise, member of the U.S. House of Representatives, for leasing an office space at the Lafourche Parish Matthews Government Complex and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any all relevant documents and amendments. Mr. Harrowby for the administration, second by Mr. Perk. Any discussion? There being none, we'll bring it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. I'm going to still walk through number 28 since we did it out of order. So number 28, resolution approving change order number 1 for the project titled E.D. White Historic Site Launch Project, decreasing the contract price by $4,418.32 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Adams for the administration, second by Mr. Melvin. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 29, resolution approving change order number 5 for the project titled Hurricane Ida Repairs Courthouse Annex and Old Jail Roof, increasing the contract price by $11,200 and adding 10 days to the contract time and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Perk for the administration, second by Mr. Pierce. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 30, resolution approving change order number 1 for the project titled Hurricane Ida Galliano Government Complex Interior Rebuild, increasing the contract price by $63,707 and adding 24 days to the contract time and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any other relevant documents. Mr. Lorraine for the administration, second by Mr. Perk. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 31, resolution approving change order number 1 for the project titled Hurricane Ida Damage Repairs to Louisiana's Cajun Bayou Visitor Center, increasing the contract price by $14,834.19 and adding 131 days to the contract time and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any other relevant documents. Mr. Araby for the administration, second by Mr. Perk. Any discussion? Mr. Araby, you have the floor, sir.
Mr. President, can you tell me why we have to grant a half a more year, 131 days on this project? Are they starting over or what?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Araby. Mr. President, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So it's for the exhibits on the inside. It's not going to have anything to do with the building construction. It's the stuff that they're working on. You know, how when you walked in the old place, they had like the Mardi Gras costumes and stuff. It's going to be much more intricate than that on the new building. So it's giving them additional time to put together those exhibits, the electronics that go with it, and the consultant that they've picked to work on that for them.
Thank you for that explanation, Mr. President. And as soon as we can take a tour of it or something like that, I would certainly enjoy that. I think all of us. Yeah. Be interesting to see that. Okay, no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 32, resolution accepting a grant agreement from PetSmart Charities Incorporated in the amount of $25,000 to support activities relating to preparing animals for adoption through the PetSmart Charities Adoption Program and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said grant agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Perk for the administration, second by Mr. Araby. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes 9 yeas, 0 nays. Item 33, resolution approving a lease agreement between the Cutoff Youth Center and Lafourche Parish Government Office of Community Action for the 2025 quarterly commodity distribution and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any all relevant documents. Mr. Broomfield for the administration, second by Mr. Williams. Any discussion?
Was there a fee for that?
Mr. Lorraine, you have the floor, sir. Press your button.
Is there a fee for that?
Is there a fee schedule with that, Mr. President? Can you answer that?
I'm just asking. I mean, I really don't, I don't see it in the packet.
Mr. President?
No, sir, there is not a fee.
No fee. Thank you. Any further discussion? Oh, Mr. Lorraine.
We used to do this by the parish building, which is probably the best location in the whole parish, but now it's going more up. So maybe after the building is fixed, we can go back to where it's at. It'd be more centralized by the Solid Food Bridge than further up. You know, we got some people that live south of the bridge that's very poor, and they need that assistance. Now they got to go further up.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Any further discussion? There being none, we'll bring it to a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Gotcha. So abstain. No problem. So motion passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 abstention, that being Ms. Chesson. Now I got it. Good, Ms. Chesson? Ms. Corley? 8 on 1. All right. Brings us to item L, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, our Manager Reports, Presentations, and our Updates. Number 34, Department of Public Works Representative to present a report. Mr. Chesson, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're going to try something a little bit different because I know it gets very mundane just having Dylan going swept out fall, swept out fall, swept out fall. So you guys were all provided a copy of the actual PowerPoint presentation. We're going to release that to the public the morning after the council meeting, so tomorrow morning. We're going to put this on social media so people can see the presentation. And then as always, once a quarter, kind of like we do with Renita, we'll do a highlighted presentation of the big ticket projects, the big ticket items, as well as if you look at, I think it's the second to last slide, it gives you a breakdown of what Public Works has done, number of subdivisions, fence permits, compliance orders, that sort of stuff. We'll do that and highlight it once a quarter like we do with finance when we do the funding schemes. So well, always happy to answer any questions if y'all have any, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, my first comment is, for me, this can be sent electronically. You don't have to make all the copies for me. I don't know if everyone else feels the same, or if they feel differently. Maybe you can poll us. But for me, I don't need a hard copy of this. It's just extra paperwork. That's the only thing. Other than that, I like the idea. I think it's great. Yep. I think most of us here are saying that we'd be good with just an email. Very good. So With that said, it brings us to item M, questions for the administration. Mr. Melvin, you have the floor first, sir.
Yes, thank you, sir. I have a small handful, but I asked Dylan about the timeline on the 40 Arpa Canal, and of course, he emailed me back saying we're still waiting on engineers. It's just, people need to see us that we're asking questions, that we are trying to figure it out. Did they give you a timeline on when they're looking? Or who's looking? Oh, wait, you want to, before you answer, you want to just go to my others real quick?
Go ahead, Mr. President. No.
Okay. Guardrail on South Water Plant, that's being repaired. There's some trash behind Brandywine Victoria Court that's stacked up on the dirt road as it turns from asphalt to cane. I'd like that clean, please. And the residents been calling me because they know if we get a hard rain, it may block it. Is there any information from South Coast Gas on any infrastructure that they have planned or having to deal with some of the, generators that failed due to not enough volume? And I think that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mr. Araby.
Mr. President, I heard the report tonight from the engineer about the Butch Hill pump station. Said we're going out to bid in February now. I know before the end of the year, you told me it'd probably be December. Then you told me that being we're going into holidays, would be January. Now we're going to February. So you got like a date in February, or come next meeting it's going to be March, April, May, June, or what? I'm looking for a straight answer so I can give to the people that keep calling me and asking me about it.
Thank you, Mr. Araby. You got any other questions for him?
That'll be good.
All right. Mr. Adams.
Yeah, I know there's been some emails going back and forth about Magnolia. Who are the residents of Sugar Ridge supposed to contact?
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Mr. Brumfield.
I just wanted to know where were we with the study on Ridgefield and Talbot?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Brumfield. Mr. President, are you ready to answer these questions?
Let's go. So,
all right.
Bo, I went back and forth with the engineer we're working with on the St. Charles Bridge. I mean, we got a couple options. Dylan and I talked about this afternoon. We've talked to a local contractor. I mean, I think we can maybe try to fix it, and hopefully DOTD. I say hopefully fix it. Like we could just go in there and try something, right? No guarantee DOT is going to buy off on that.
Did they say what's wrong with it?
Yeah. So if you look under the bridge where the approach comes up, there's a void that's washed out. There used to be an old sheet pile wall, like an old wooden timber wall. Timber went away. Saw goes away. So now they're worried about the approach collapsing, right? I think it's kind of BS, but anyway. So we're working through with the engineer, proposals from a geotech guy to come in and look at the soils, figure out what we have to drive as far as sheet piles, taking apart the bridge. I mean, best guess right now is like 4 to 6 months. Yeah, it's not an easy, not going to be a cheap fix. Again, I mean, Morgan and Kevin out there, we've been dealing with this thing in Valentine for a while. So, their bridge people are just completely. So anyway, I'm gonna talk to Dennis again tomorrow, and then try to figure out if we can do something just off pitched, right? Where we just kind of talk to a contractor who's done this before, figure if we can throw some stuff under the bridge and get it back open, and then work on a more permanent repair long term, but figure out a way to get the bridge back open. So we're trying to work on that right now. And Dylan's going to hand me a note. Oh, yeah. All right, so we got the guardrail on South Water Plant Road. We'll talk to Sam about the trash. We met with South Coast and the other gas companies, I don't know, right after Francine, a few meetings after Francine. I know South Coast has made a petition to the Public Service Commission that talks about a rate increase to do some of the infrastructure things that they want to do. I don't have a good time frame. They haven't provided us anything as to what they're going to do. We have talked to, both Enterprise and South Coast and Atmos about, in our operation plan, is there a way to increase the gas pressure if we know there's a storm coming? There's certain parameters that they have to meet safety-wise, right? You don't want to put too much pressure on the line. A tree falls over and rips up that main line, and we got 60 pounds of gas pressure blowing, which causes issues for Chairman Otan and fire department guys, right? So I'll check on that and try to get you an answer. Butch Hill, yeah, Terry, I tried to push him to get it out in January. Facility planning and control, because there's capital outlay dollars, still has to approve that. So that's what we're waiting on for the bid date to let. Those guys are ready to go. Dylan made a few tweaks with Augustine, just trying to catch some last minute stuff that we noted in the plan. So that the plans are ready to go. We're just kind of waiting on FP&C to give us the okay to go to bid on that. So I'm still, I think, not Kevin. No, you. Morgan. I don't know why I blanked on his name. I just said it too. It's been one of those days, guys. I know Morgan's ready to go. Morgan and Kevin have a bid date of sometime of probably mid-February to get it out of there. So we're getting there. It's not gonna be March. It's not gonna be May. We're gonna do it. Yeah, right. No. So by the second meeting in February, if it's not out to bid, you can chastise me again, I promise. The Magnolia issues, I talked to Representative Fontenot over the Christmas break. There were some issues with some sewer backing up in the street. They tried to blame it on us that they were waiting for an inspection. We had done the inspections already. They just didn't do what they had to do. The best person for people to call in those particular situations is the Public Service Commission. We had this conversation with Councilman Perk and at his town halls. Used to be a state senator. J.P. Couson is the new public service commissioner for our area. We've already met with him about a couple of issues. This was one. The issues with Salika running into Lake Fields has been another one. Trying to figure out what they're going to do with that docket in the next year and whether or not they're going to force Salika to put back that power. So, but the PSC is the best person for that to call. And Councilman Broomfield, I'm going to look at Dylan or Mitch. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about the study on Richfield and Talbot, but I'll check for you and call you tomorrow. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, if you find, can you copy all of us on that? I mean, we're all interested in that. That was a study that was supposed to be about South Central Planning or something, right? Yeah, I know it's been a while. Yeah, keep us all apprised of that. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. Lorraine, you have a follow-up question for the administration?
Yeah, I just want to ask Archie and all if there are, hopefully they're doing some work on West 55th between the two schools. The problem is from the street between the two schools going to the back is where the problem is at. I haven't seen anything done there in the last 5 years, to be honest with you. Those covers that were put across 32, 35 was put when Rodney Ducey was a councilman. And that steel pipe, 336 inches going across, the outfall canal in the back, it could be clean, but it's okay. But it's to get the water to 32, 35. That's where your problem's at. But you got to think about this. All the water from LA1 has to go in that corner. All of it. That's a big area. And I think I heard you say something about the school board supposed to help out. I'm trying to figure out how can the school board help out when we helped out the school board. And the center don't belong to the school board. The center belongs to the 10th ward on a millage tax. So that's, I don't get it. So it's being worked on? Because you got about 500 kids that are dealing with mold there pretty much regular and having a drainage problem. I know that's not mold, but it doesn't help. So if we can get some work done there, I get a lot of people calling me on that, and I went riding myself. Sometimes when you go riding, you see something with your eyes, it's a lot better than looking at it on a computer. It really is. You see it. It needs to be addressed. But what got me about this whole situation is the school board. I can't understand where the school board is going to participate when we help them. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Mr. Pierce.
Yeah, Archie,
Hold on.
The St. Charles Bridge y'all talking about, is that the one on the bypass road at the 40 Opry Canal? Yeah. Okay, because I got questioned about that today before I came here by some residents back there that said, of course, they don't work for a big construction company. They said they could have had it fixed by now, but we're not going to go there. But I just wanted to make sure we were talking about the right. So you're talking about 4 to 6 months before this thing's fixed?
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Pierce?
Huh?
Any other questions for him? We're going to let him answer in a second. Okay. All right, Mr. Melvin.
Yeah, Mr. President, one more time, sorry about that.
Bayou Vista Pump Station and right-of-ways. Just, where are we with that?
All right, thank you, Mr. Melvin. And Mr. Lorraine. You hadn't answered your first question yet, but go ahead and give me your second question.
No, I'm okay.
Oh, okay. All right. Mr. President, start answering some questions here, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Pierce, the same guys that called you today are the same guys we're talking to try to see if we can figure out how to fix it quicker. So I know who you're talking about. Mr. Melvin, Stevie Smith from All South was here earlier. He had a conversation with the landowner that we've been talking with the right-of-way. They're supposed to meet in the morning and hopefully have everything signed. So the south side landowner is not an issue. It's been the north side. He had some stipulations, which you know about, that he wanted to work through. So we're trying to figure that out. Yeah, and then go back to Cutoff Elementary. I want to be emphatically clear, and I've said this over and over again. The mold issues in the school are not because of the drainage, right? They have issues with their air conditioners and some other issues. The water going through the ditch is not an issue, right? They have some issues with their parking lot, and that lets water in the building during a heavy rain. There's a whole lot of other issues. So I don't want anybody to be confused that water draining through our ditch is molding a school, because it's not. We've had an engineer survey the area, Daniel. There's a lot of mixed match culvert sizes and elevations in that particular spot that were put in probably by the drainage district way back when for you. So we're gonna try to figure out how to rip that up. We have to do some work around the center. There's some parts that we don't have right-of-ways on that we need to get right-of-ways on. And then with the portion the school board's really looking at is figuring out how water flows around the school, how it goes under the school, and then whether or not they need some type of detention pond or retention pond, like where the old football field used to be. So when I say they're going to help, they're going to help on their side, and we're going to take care of the drainage on our side, right? I can't expect the school board to come pay for culverts that are down by the center, right? So we're working on that. We have the same engineer for both of us is working on it. We've put the person the school board's asked to look at the interior work for them in touch with Joe Picciola's firm, who did the survey work in the back for us. So we're trying to come up with a solution right now.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Tell you what,
Ms. Lorraine.
come pick me up and we'll go look at it, you and I, and I'll show you. Bring your boots.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lorraine. All right, brings us to item in discussion. Number 35, discussion concerning demolition of buildings. Mr. Lorraine, you have the floor as soon as you press your button, sir. All right, Ms. Lorraine.
Yeah, I just want to say that there's a lot of demolition in the whole parish.
Not enough.
Huh?
Not enough.
No, but that's what there's plenty throughout the whole parish. And all we do is probably 10, 20 a year. So if you look at that, it'll take you 50 years to get to the bottom of it. But it's just that we use the funding from nuisance abatement, that what we have. And Golden Meadow has done about 8 of them, and they pay for it. They pay their own. They did a couple of them in Lockport.
I didn't catch it, but let the record reflect Mr. Adams left the chambers at 18:01 hours. Sorry, Mr. Lorraine, I didn't even see him leave.
No, that's okay. They had a couple of them done in Lockport that they couldn't use the money from the abatement. Now, it was done, and that's fine. But there's a lot of others that need to be done that people are waiting and waiting. So the funding that was supposed to be used in Lockport, the district attorney wrote an opinion, and you can't use it. So what funding was used to tear down the 2 in Lockport? You can't use the funding from the nuisance abatement because they're not in the district. So what funding did we use to knock that down?
All right, I'm going to have to cut you off so I can let the president answer. Good?
You going to pass it to him?
Yeah, I just got to cut you off first. All right, Mr. President, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we do use the nuisance abatement fund for those probably 20 or 25 a year. The reason we don't do more than that is because we have to wait a whole year to try to recoup that funding, right? So it wasn't until probably the 2021 tax bills that went out at the end of 2021, or maybe 2022, that the assessor finally allowed us to put all those liens on the actual tax roll. So for years, when we came into office in 2020, we had about $1 million worth of bad debt on the books because all we would do was place a lien on the property and nobody would ever try to pay the lien, right? State law said we could put it on the tax roll and we had to fight to get to that point, but we're there now. So it takes us a year to try to recoup that money. So let's say we go clean up Mr. Lorraine's property. We put the lien on the property, we put it on the tax bill. Mr. Lorraine, either himself or his family, doesn't pay the taxes because it may be a vacant lot. It may be Councilman Lorraine's grandma's house that nobody ever took care of because of the succession. So nobody pays the taxes. That starts a 5-year time clock that we have to wait to try to eventually get the property adjudicated to us, get a clean title, and then try to sell it to somebody who may want to buy it at just whatever that cost is, right? So a lot of the NOLA title services ones we've been doing, the average payback for us is only like $4,000 or $5,000, like because all we're covering is the lien cost and the fee for NOLA Title Group to go sell the property. In January of 2026, the law is going to change due to a constitutional amendment that says we can't even do that anymore. We can't put it on the tax. We can put a lien, but after that, we have to go to the judge. We have to go to the courthouse and file a lawsuit and get a judgment. So I'm gonna prep the council for in January of 2026. Be ready to either have a lot of executive sessions or a lot of approvals for us to go file these lawsuits to get judgments to try to go redeem our money from these cleanups. All right, circling back. I say all that to say that the 3 properties that were done in Lockport were properties that had been adjudicated to us. They were our responsibility, right? We had gone through that process and they belonged to Lafourche Parish government. So although the district attorney opinion said we couldn't use the nuisance abatement funds to go tear them down, even if they were adjudicated to us, we used the regular solid waste funding from basically the garbage tax, right? The little bit of sales tax that we collect from that and the residual that was left in that account to go knock down those 2 properties.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ms. Lorraine, you got the pressure button.
All I'm going to ask you is, you took care of those 2, that's fine. And you took it out of the solid waste fund, which they're in the solid waste fund. So all I'm going to ask you is to go take care of the 8 of them in Golden Meadow.
Thank you, Ms. Lorraine. Mr. President.
So we're not going to take care of those out of those solid waste if they're not adjudicated to us. The only reason we tore those down is because they were ours and we had to. Right? I can't, think about it, Daniel. So we're going to send out letters to people who don't clean up their property and force them to go do it, or we're going to go do it for them. But we're going to let property that is ours look like junk while we're telling other people they have to go clean up their properties. Right? If those 8 in Golden, if the mayor wants those 8 in Golden Meadow cleaned up, then tell them to send us the addresses. We will start a nuisance case on them. We will go through the process, and then we could use the nuisance abatement fund for them. Well, no, we can't, because we can't use that funding inside the corporation. So the only option for him is for the town to go do it. They have to follow their own nuisance process, just like the city of Thibodaux. If the city of Thibodaux had nuisance cases, I wouldn't expect the mayor to call me and say, go clean up the houses inside the city limits of Thibodaux. They need to follow their process, and they need to go tear it down.
So what you did,
Mr. Lorraine.
What you did, you couldn't use the money from the nuisance abatement, so you went elsewhere. So Lockport's in the taxing district, Golden Meadow's in the taxing district, Thibodaux's not. But yet we're going to use the taxing district money to take care of Lockport, and we're not going to do nothing for Golden Meadow.
Go ahead, Mr. President.
I'm going to try to break it down again for you, Daniel. If these 2 properties in Lockport were not Lafourche Parish government properties, we would not have tore them down. We would have told the mayor to follow their nuisance process with South Central Planning, just like the town of Golden Meadow, and the town would have paid to tear them down. These properties were our properties. That's why we spent the money to go tear them down. If they were not our property, if they were not adjudicated to Lafourche Parish government, I would not have touched them. That's why I'm not going to go touch the ones in Golden Meadow, because they're not ours. Does it make sense that time?
Yeah, I understand. Mr. Lorraine? Okay. Yeah. So, I think you bring up an excellent question, though. I mean, an excellent point in that we need to start figuring out what we're going to do before 2026, because it's going to get really it's already out of control, and it's going to really spiral out of control. I mean, I can probably bring you 50 right now just in my district that are like 4 to 5 years needing to be done. Anyway, I appreciate it, and I do thank Sam and those guys for working real hard to try to get them corrected outside of the judicial system, if you will. Any further discussion by anyone? Any further discussion? Mr. Pierce.
I just want to make a comment. You know, there was a young lady that was part of the military police that was in New Orleans after the tragedy that happened New Year's morning from my district. And I guess I'm a little soft when it comes to military, because I'm ex-military. and she was there, and her name is Carlene Bourgeois from District 5. I just want to give her a little recognition from the parish, and also let's, add the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office for the deputies that they also sent out there. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Well said. Any other discussion? There being none, item O, adjournment. I'll now entertain a motion, because there's no further business. Lafourche Parish Council regular meeting of January 14th, 2025 will be adjourned at 18:09 hours. So moved by Ms. Chesson, second by Mr. Araby. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Is anyone opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 person that left the chambers early, which is Mr. Williams. Thank y'all. Mr. Adams, William. The reason I said his name, William, several times is